morning, Miss Sally. Sorry for disturbing you, but I have a good news for you.
Oh, yes. Good morning, Miss Vera. It is okay. What it is?
Mr. Edward from Terra Company has sent us a letter this morning, and it is written in here that Mr. Edward also would like to have a meeting with our company, and he said he wants to discuss about collaboration and also negotiate it if needed with our company, Miss Sally.
Oh, really? That sounds good, Vera. Do they mention the date and when the meeting will be held?
Yes, Miss Sally. It is written the meeting will be held on 25 August if you are not busy, but if you are busy on that time, they can reschedule the meeting.
I think it's really interesting meeting. I cannot wait for it. Please tell them that our company are willing to join the meeting, but before, could you please check my schedule? Am I free on that time? And please cancel any schedule on the date. I want this meeting become our priority.
Well, Miss Sally, I will do that.
Is that all you want to tell me?
Yes, Miss Sally.
Okay, all right. Thank you for the good news.
You're welcome, Miss Sally.
Good morning for the both parties. I'm Jessica as a moderator of this meeting and also Mr. Edward secretary. First, I would like to introduce the participant from Terra Company. There is Mr. Edward as the CEO and also the founder of Terra Group. There is Mrs. Teresa as a negotiator and Kevin as an architecture. He will explain briefly about the plan of the building we would like to build, and Mr. Edward have provided Mr. Dewi as a designer. For this project and from a car property company, there is Mr. Mirza Serli as the CEO of Mekar Jaya Land Company and Mr. Svira as the secretary, and Mr. Justin as a negotiator from Mekar Property. Without any further ado, Mr. Edward, let's start the meeting.
Thank you, Mrs. Jessica, for the greetings. And I would like to say once again, good morning for all participants in this meeting. May God bless us all and keep us away from the bad things. So today, I would like to discuss about the collaboration between our company, Mrs. Shirley. And we will have to discuss about the profit sharing and also the distribution share of our collaboration. It is why I asked my secretary to tell you to bring a negotiator today, Mrs. Shirley.
Yeah, I bring my negotiator today, Mr. Edward, as your secretary asked me to bring him today. But could you please explain about our collaboration? I still didn't get it.
It is because I have not explained it, Mrs. Shirley. It's okay. So the meaning of the collaboration is my company would like to build a housing complex, a residence on your land without our company buying your land. So all the cost about the property, about the residence will be discovered by our company. But you will gain the profit too, the profit sharing of our property. And as your company is the land provider, and about the sharing will be our next discussion. Do you get it, Mrs. Shirley?
Yeah, well, I do understand, Mr. Edward. Do you have the parable or image how the housing complex will be?
Yes, we have also Mr. Kevin to make a parable of the housing complex we would like to build. Mr. Kevin, could you please explain briefly about the parable of the housing complex?
Okay, I will explain the parable of the housing complex. So here it is, the image of the residence. As you can see, we have made new builds affordable with healthy quality, transportable housing solutions that are economical, sustainable, and guaranteed quality with high standard of specification. Mr. Edward has suggested name. The complex will be named as Royal Residence. The project comprises of exclusive amenities starting from a modern gymnasium, rooftop swimming pool, amphitheater to coffee shop, add a zone, pool table, and convenience store to cater to the needs of the residents. The layout of the Royal Residence Complex is incorporated with 2, 3, 4 BHK flats in North Kolkata, residents to 28 lakhs onwards for sustainable and affordable living. The location is at is uh, is a conveniently located residential complex near airport that has amenities and facilities for everyone. All the 6 towers are 11 stories high, each with a choice of well-ventilated apartments overlooking the serene natural view of the lake and landscape gardens. Experience and overall comfort living at the residential complex near the airport, from where you can connect to all important amenities in a matter of minutes. The structure of the buildings will be explained by Dewi.
The structure. So the structure of each house already used to earthquake resistant RCC frame structure. Wall of ACC blocks, so it is same when earthquake occur in the area. The kitchen has decent polish, granite top platform, stainless steel thin glazed tiles dated up to 2 feet height above the platform. Anti-skid tile flooring in the kitchen area. We are planning to put the fire safety alarm using modern fire fitting system as per WBFS. It is the most sensitive fire alarm all of them.
Well, that is the parable of the apartment. What do you guys think? It is interesting, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's an interesting parable, Mr. Kevin. Thank you for explaining. The name of the complex is also interesting and kind of elegant. Royal Residence. I appreciate it, but it seems like it will be a little bit complicated, Mr. Edward. Since this is our first time, our group will have this kind of collaboration. It's really surprising me about your idea. It's such a great idea, but maybe I need a time to discuss with our group.
Yeah, Mr. Shirley, of course. It's okay. You can have your time.
Thank you, Mr. Edward, but I would like to hear the details about the deal, about the profit sharing or the distribution share. Have you thought about it before?
I have prepared about that, Mr. Shirley, including the profit sharing and the distribution share. I also have discussed it with my company and let my financial department tell you about the deals. Mrs. Teresa, the time is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Edward. So, Makerja Land Company as a land provider in this project, while our company as a property builder on your land. I think it's fair enough since the cost of all property, including insurance, will be covered by our company. So our company are willing to take 50% of distribution share in this project. What do you think?
Well, my clients are okay with the 50% of the profit sharing. At least we could get 16% of it. What do you think, Miss Teresa?
Well, how about 55%?
Sorry, but my client already made up her mind. At least we would like to get 60% because we are the land provider. The land provider should be dominant in getting the profit sharing, Ms. Teresa. I think you have heard this kind of policy.
Well, how about if we give you 70% of the profit sharing, but the 50% of the distribution shares and the land should be ours. My clients will provide the notary and the cost will be discovered too. How about that?
I'm sorry, but are you serious, Miss Teresa? Or maybe Justin, you want to say something? I think you can read my mind.
I don't think it's a good offer since our company is the land provider. Of course, we dominate in profit sharing in your company, right, Mr. Edward?
Yeah, well, it's kind of negotiation. Don't be so set up easily for you.
Well, I know this is a negotiation, Mr. Edward. It's an honor for my group also to have a collaboration with your group, but it seems like a scam, Mr. Edward. I doesn't seem like a collaboration anymore. It is a selfish negotiation, I think.
Well, I would like to remind again, Mr. Shirley, this is the negotiations. This is a negotiations. If you are mine with our offer, you can start to ask your negotiator to make an offer. I think it's simple, Mr. Shirley. Moreover, Mr. Shirley, from the beginning of this meeting, I absolutely have no intention to scam your land or the distribution share. The purpose of this meeting is just to ask a collaboration with your company, with your group, and making a negotiation.
Okay, Mr. Awad. It seems like the situation is not good enough to make the negotiation become successful. Maybe we should have a second meeting to have the negotiation. I will ask my secretary to inform you about the details for the next meeting. I hope we could have a better negotiation in the next meeting, or maybe we should fill up the negotiation form to make what our interest clear.
All right. Very well, Mr. Shirley. I hope you're not misunderstand with our purpose of this meeting. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Shirley.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Awad.
Good morning for both parties and all participants in this meeting. Today is our second meeting about the collaboration between both companies. So without any further ado, let's start it.
Thank you, Mrs. Jessica. So we have discussed about the collaboration between our company in the last meeting, Mrs. Shirley. So today, the purpose of this meeting is just about the negotiation to discuss about the profit sharing and the distribution share, right, Mr. Shirley?
Yes, right, Mr. Awad. I hope we can find a win-win solution and good deals for both of our company in this meeting.
Of course, Mr. Shirley. Very well. Mrs. Teresa, you can start it.
Okay, Mr. Edward. So here's the deal. Our company are willing to have a profit sharing for 50% for the year for the 3 years in the beginning of this business, since the cost of the property will be discovered by our company. But after 3 years, the profit sharing will be changed. Your company will gain 60% of the profit sharing, and our company will gain 40% of it. But the validations of contract of the agreement must be 10 years because our company would like to see a long-term plan business partner. How about that? Sounds fair enough?
Well, that sounds good. It is fair enough. How about if your company gain 50% for 10 years in the beginning, but after that our company will gain 65% for the rest. But the validation of the contract will be 30 years, since our company also love to have a long-term business partnership with your company.
Are you sure the validations will be 30 years?
Yes, our company loves to have a long-term business partnership. We have the same goals in this point.
I think this is a good deal from your company, Mrs. Shirley. It sounds fair enough for both of our companies. What do you think, Mrs. Shirley?
Yeah, I agree with the deals, Mr. Awad. I'm really enjoying this negotiation in this meeting. Thank you for your best offer, and I hope the relationship between our company will be fine and better in the future.
Of course, Mr. Shirley. I hope so. Thank you for the time and for all participants in this meeting. Next, we will have a meeting again, Mr. Shirley. I will ask an attorney to make the agreement of our contract. And I will ask my secretary to tell you the date.
Okay, sure. Thank you, Mr. Edward. I'm waiting for it.
Thank you.
Hello, good morning to Mr. Edward and Ms. Shirley. I'm Willie, the attorney of the agreement both of your companies have made, and this is my assistant, Penny.
Okay, hello, good morning to you. I bring my secretary here, Miss Vera, just in case I need her kind assistant to help me.
Good morning, Mr. Willie and Mrs. Shirley. I also bring Mrs. Jessica here as my secretary today, just to help me to listen attentively what the agreement is.
Okay, so today we will be reviewing the clauses of the agreement as the result of the negotiation by both of your companies. And thereafter, if any of you have any objection or unclear information in your mind from it, we can clarify, we can reevaluate and revise the agreement immediately. My assistant here will help me by recalling the core of the agreement and time period that the both of you have come together with. Annie?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Willie. So to start, the agreement of the Terra Group Incorporation by Mr. Edward as the first party and Makaraya Incorporation by Ms. Shirley as the second party was made, legalized, and printed on July 1st, 2021. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right,
absolutely.
Mr. Fang.
PT Terra Groups as the first party is a company that engages in business field of apartment and construction, and PT Makaraya as the second party is a company that acts as the land provider for the first party is legally obligated to let the first party build a housing complex on their land.
Exactly.
Yes.
And the cooperation between the two companies is for at least for 10 years. If one of the parties plan to terminate the cooperation relationship or also wants to extend it, then both of the parties must discuss and agree on whether it should end or continue.
Yes. And moving on to the profit sharing agreement, starting from the time period of year 2021 to year 2031, as the first 10 years, both the first and the second party will receive 50% of the profit respectively. And furthermore, after the first 10 years agreement of profit sharing has passed and both of the parties decide to continue the agreement, then the first party, Mr. Edward, will receive the profit end of 65%. That is okay, right?
Yes, it is.
Yes, that's okay.
And together with the aftermath of the first 10 years agreement of profit sharing has passed and both of the parties decide to continue the agreement, then the second party will receive the profit end of 45%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of the right and obligation by both of the companies, first, the agreement for both of the parties will be from year 2021 to 2051. Second, the second party does not have any right to remove or claim the assets built in the land as all the properties and assets are owned by the first Mr. Edward, the CEO, and that the first meeting of the property is
Um, Penny, uh, your voice it's gone. The audio.
Yeah, maybe you can repeat, please.
okay. Speaking of the rights and obligation by both of the companies, first, the agreement for both of the parties will be from year 2021 or to 2051. Second, the party does not have any right to remove or claim the assets built in their land as all of the properties and assets are owned by the first party or Mr. Edward as the CEO. And thus the third, any damage or loss of properties will be the full responsible of the first party or Mr. Edward and not Miss Shirley.
Yes. We did have an agreement after the negotiation about the risk of damage or loss, and that was the result.
Yes, it is completely fine. I agreed on the risk that we talked about, and it will be covered by my company.
Okay, and lastly, this agreement will only end when one of the parties decide to terminate the cooperation and the other party has accepted and agreed to the termination of the cooperation, preferably after the 30 years of the agreement has passed, meaning that this agreement will be able to be continued when one of the parties decides to continue the cooperation and obtains approval from the other party after 30 years of the agreement has passed.
Yeah, that's what we want by the agreement.
Yeah, definitely it was reasonable.
So it seems like there is no trouble. We are finding along with this agreement meeting. The content is exactly the way the result of your negotiation has brought the two of you. Then I guess that is it. Later, I will just send the both of you the agreement file that you can sign and stamp on to legalize the agreement. Fanny, is there anything more we forgot to discuss here?
No, sir. Everything has been discussed and agreed upon.
Okay, then that's it. I guess we're done. We can end the meeting.
Okay, thank you for Mr. Willie and Mrs. Funny. And for Mrs. Willie, Mrs. Shirley, I'm sorry, I hope we could have a long-term cooperation between our companies.
I hope so, Mr. Edward. Thank you all for your participation.